Welcome to the Calcutta Race's Christmas meeting, first day, the Saturday, 4th of December 2021 race preview. The first race of the afternoon is the Cavalry Cup for horses rated 1 to 26 in Class 5 to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. First, we got couple of runners. We got Arrow, who's by speaking of which out of Arlen, has one start Arrow, where it was racing in front but then weakened and finished on 4th of 6 runners in the race. We also had number 4 Light in the Sky. Light in the Sky has had couple of starts. In his last start, Light in the Sky was racing in 6th spot but weakened and finished on 6th of 6 runners, and the winner here was Kogyal, who won that race by almost 7 1/4 lengths. Next up, we got number 3 Lady Lorraine. Lady Lorraine has had quite a few starts. In its first start in its only start in the monsoon season, Lady Lorraine was travelling in 5th spot, made up a place and finished on 4th of 9 runners. And Lady Lorraine was ridden that day by Vinay Jaiswal. Today, Lady Lorraine ridden by Bhavani Singh. Number 5 is Legend Returns, has had couple of starts so far. In its last start, was installed as the favourite, was disputing the early lead with the runaway leader, but then Lady Returns, when asked for an effort into the home straight, had nothing much to offer, fell back, finished on 6th of 7 runners. The winner was Adorinda, who won that race by almost 2.5 lengths. Next up, we got number 6 Tasmania. Tasmania had couple of starts in the monsoon season where it finished on 3rd in each of its 2 starts. First behind Shivalik Silk, then behind Trebian. In its first start of the season in race number 14, Tasmania was racing in 4th spot, made some late gains and finished on 4th. The winner was Anika, who won that race by a widening margin of 6 1/4 lengths. Lastly, we got number 7, Mother's Love, a very experienced runner for its age and its first start of the winter season in this year. Mother's Love was travelling in 5th spot in race number 7 after a tardy getaway, then made up the ground, and when they turned for home, Mother's Love was asked for an effort, didn't have much to offer, eventually finished on 4th. The winner was 3rd Avenue. We move on to the second race of the afternoon, the Bengal Sub-Area Cup for horses rated 21 to 46 to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. First runner we are looking at is number 1, Adonica. Adonica, after winning a race in the last start it had in the race number 17, in its next start in race number 43, the one we are looking at, Adorinda was travelling in 5th spot, then made some lead gains and finished on 2nd behind Euphrates, almost half a length behind the winner. Number 2 is Aftershock. Aftershock won a race in race number 29 where it got the measure of script after going on a start to finish mission. In his next start, Aftershock finished on 4th behind Redoubtable. In his last start in race number 4, Aftershock was travelling in 8th spot, got one place better. In 7th spot, that's where it finished, behind Camila. Next up, we got 4 runners here. Number 3, Rakshaki, who has had 3 starts so far. In his last start, Rakshaki was travelling in 9th spot, eventually finished on 10th of 12 runners. We had number 5, which is Wandering Angel. After winning in race number 2, Wandering Angel in this race finished on 9th of 12 runners. We also had number 8, which is Unstoppable. Unstoppable ran a very eye-catching race in race number 8. In its last start, Unstoppable was a no-show, finished on 8th of 12 runners. Number 9, Gutsy Look, is where it was finishing on towards the end and finished on 6th of 12 runners. Next up, we got number 4, Nish. And Nish, after coming down from Western India in his first start, was installed as the favourite. Was travelling in 2nd spot when asked for an effort, didn't have much to offer, was a little flat-footed, perhaps needed this run, eventually finished on 3rd. The winner here was Ember Glow. Next up, we got number 6, Script has had 3 starts in the monsoon season. First, it finished on 5th behind Cletus. In his next start, finished on 2nd behind Aftershock. In his last start in race number 50, Script was a little slow out of the gates, then was travelling in 7th spot, made some late gains and finished on 5th of 7 runners. The winner here was Indian Tiger. Next up, we got number 7, Creation of God, has had 3 starts so far. In its first start in the monsoon season, finished on 2nd behind Legendary Striker. In his next start, Creation of God was travelling in 5th spot, made up a place and finished on 4th. The winner here was Whistleblower, who won that race by almost 5 lengths. We move on to the third race of the afternoon, the Eastern Command Cup, for horses rated 61 to 86, rated 41 to 66, eligible to be run over a distance of 1100 meters. We got 3 runners. First in race number 5, we had Shimmering Star, who was travelling in the wrong end of the field in 8th spot, did not make any further improvement, finished on 8th of 8. We had number 2, Sitara, who was the leader into the last 50 meters. It was looking pretty good, but the run of Soaring High, who came up with a big run and got the measure of Sitara and a bob of the head. We also had number 4, Court Jester. Court Jester had a fantastic season in the last winter season, where it won 3 races. In its first start of the season, Court Jester was travelling in 5th spot, weakened and finished on 8th, perhaps needed that run. Number 3 is Trump Girl. Trump Girl, in its first start of the season after coming down from Hyderabad, Trump Girl was travelling in 2nd spot. When asked for an effort, Trump Girl weakened slightly and finished on 3rd of 7 runners. The winner here was Jake, who won that race by a widening margin of 9 3/4 length. Next up, we got number 5, Pontius Pilot, has had a couple of starts in this season. First, it finished on 7th behind Jake. In his next start, Pontius Pilot in race number 17 was travelling in 5th spot down the centre, but then did not make up a placing, finished on 5th, though did finish close up to the eventual winner, which was Sea of Cortez. Next up, we got number 6, Ghost. Ghost skipped the monsoon season. It had a very productive winter season last time. It won 3 of its 6 starts and placed in each of his other starts. Ghost in his last start was in 2nd spot as they entered the home straight over 1600 meters in race number 122, and then took charge and won that race by almost 4 lengths, beating Inca. Number 7, Exotic Queen, after coming down from Western India. First, it raced in the monsoon track in race number 45, where it finished on 4th. In its last start, Exotic Queen did nothing wrong. Took the inside run, looked good for a while, but then Mughal absolutely spurted away and won that race by a widening margin, and Exotic Queen lives to fight another day. Sarwan keeps the mount. Lastly, we got number 8, Phoenicia Mist. Phoenicia Mist, after placing in race number 31 behind Sea of Cortez. In his last start, Phoenicia Mist went on a start-to-finish mission and then kicked away from the field, won that race by a length and a half behind the fast-finishing Jeweler, who came up with a big run into the last 100 meters. We move on to the 4th race of the afternoon, the Army Services Corps ASC Cup, for horses rated 41 to 66, rated 21 to 46 eligible. The first couple of runners we are looking at: number 1, Dandi Satyagraha. Dandi Satyagraha won a race in race number 32, where it beat D-Night Mysore. Then it finished on 3rd behind Phoenicia Miss. In his last start in race number 10, Dandi Satyagraha took the inside route and took charge into the last 250 and drew away from the field. We also had number 8, which is Cormorant. Cormorant was racing in 6th spot, did not make up any placing, finished on 6th of 7 runners, almost 8 lengths from the winner. Next up, we got number 2, Louboutin, and Louboutin had one start in this season where in fact, this is the monsoon run we are looking at, where it was travelling in 9th spot, eventually finished on 8th, a long way from the winner, which was Phoenicia Miss, who won that race by almost length and a half. Next up, we got two runners here. Number 3, Taimu's Choice. Taimu's Choice was a little slow to begin in its earlier start, where it finished on 9th behind Finisher Miss. In its last start, Taimu's Choice was travelling in 10th spot but made some lead gains when the race was almost over and eventually finished on 5th. And we also had number 9, Whispering Grass. Whispering Grass, after finishing on 2nd in race number 26 behind Cletus, in his last start finished last of 10 runners behind Demonite Mysore. Number 4 is Dornish. Dornish has had a couple of starts in the monsoon season. First and finished on 6th behind Cletus in race number 26. In his last start, Dornish was travelling in 6th spot, made up a placing and finished on 5th of 7 runners. The winner here was Shivalik Gold. Number 5 is Memorable Memories. After coming down from Western India, has had a couple of starts, has been slow out in each of his 2 starts. In his last start, Memorable Memories was racing in 5th spot as they entered the home straight, came down the centre and eventually finished on 5th behind Mughal, who won that race by a widening margin of 8 lengths. Next up, we got number 6, Astral Force. Astral Force had one start in this season where it was travelling in 6th spot, made up some lead gains towards the inside, as you can see, and eventually finished on 4th, just missed out on the place money. The winner here was Camila. Next up, we got number 7, UV. UV won a race in race number 7. Then it ran in the Coles Trial Stakes, where it finished on 8th of 8 runners. In his last start, UV came around the field and into the last 100 meters, UV was really shaping like a winner. But Rare Bird had other ideas, and Rare Bird got the measure of UV and had to settle for 2nd spot as UV, almost half a length from the winner. We move on to the 5th race of the afternoon, the Bookmakers Association Calcutta 2000 Guineas 2021 Grade 2 for Indian horses 3-year-old only, to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. We got a cracking lineup of 9 runners ahead in front of us. The first 2 runners we're looking at is number 1, Agnostic, who was unbeaten in his first 3 starts. In his last start, Agnostic was racing in 3rd spot, then eventually weakened and finished on 4th. We had number 5, Jake, who has been unbeaten in its all but one start in its Coal Trial Stakes, where it finished on 3rd. In his last start, Jake was travelling in 5th spot, circled the field, took charge into the last 300 and won, easing up by almost a distance, beating Mountain Lion. Next up, we got number 2, Eastwood, who has been very consistent. Eastwood, and in its last start in the Coles Trial Stakes, Eastwood was perhaps the fastest moving horse into the last 100 meters. Eventually finished on 2nd. The winner here was Agnostic. In its earlier start, Eastwood got the better of Ember Glow in race number 10 over 1400 meters. Two runners we're looking at. Number 3, Galen. Galen has finished on 3rd in its last start in the Monsoon Derby over 2000 meters after leading the pack throughout, then boxed on for a while. But the late run of Oasis, who is the other runner we're looking at, who was travelling in 4th spot, circled the field, came around them and took charge into the last 300 meters and went away from the field, almost beating the field by 4 lengths, and eventually Galen finished on 3rd. Next up, we got number 4, Infinite and Beyond. Infinite and Beyond has come down from Western India. It had a lung opener in race number 13, where it was travelling in 4th spot, then made some late gains and in fact in one point took charge, but the late dash by Daring Heart, who won that race by almost 3 parts of a length. Next up, we got number 6, Legendary Striker. Legendary Striker is by Be Safe out of Striking View, ridden today by Bhavani Singh. In its first start, Legendary Striker won in race number 33, beating Creation of God. In its last start, Legendary Striker was leading the pack, but the jockey missed just the winning post, and eventually legendary striker finished on second behind the eventual 1000 guinea winner Camila. Next up we got number 8, Sea Lion. Sea Lion had one start in race number 3 where it was slow to begin and was looking like it was a spot of bother, but then made some rapid gains and took the turn in 4th spot. Was being asked for an effort into the last 200, but into the last 100 drew away from the field, won that race by almost 2 3/4 of a length, beating Basharat. Lastly, we got number 9, Protector. The Protector finished on 5th in the Coles Trial Stakes behind Agnostic, finished on 8th in the Monsoon Derby behind Oasis. In his last start, the Protector was travelling in 2nd spot, then took charge into the last 250 and won that race by a length and 3/4 by beating Ailani, who boxed on towards the inside to finish on 2nd. We move on to the 6th and last race of the day, the Lieutenant General Jamil Mahmoud Memorial Cup for horses rated 21 to 46, rated 1 to 26, eligible to be run over a distance of 1200 meters. We got 3 runners we are looking at. First, number 1, Indian Tiger. Indian Tiger was a winner in race number 50 where it got the measure of Shopify. In his last start, Indian Tiger went on a start to finish mission, was looking good, but there was a late dash by Ember Glow on the wide outside and Indian Tiger finished on 2nd. We had number 3, Ember Glow, who was the eventual winner after being bridesmaid in a couple of starts, then finished on 4th in race number 50. In his last start, Ember Glow travelled in 3rd spot, took charge into the last 50 meters and won that race. We also had number 4, Who Dares Wins, who was very slow out of the gates, but made up the ground and eventually finished on 4th of 7 runners. Number 2 is Aggression. Aggression has had a couple of starts in the monsoon season. First, it finished on 7th behind Adonica in race number 17. In its last start, Aggression was travelling in 6th spot, made up some late gains and finished on 4th of 8 runners. The winner here was Sea of Cortez. Santana had 3 stars in the previous winter season. First, it finished on 9th behind Violin. In its next start in race number 47, it finished on 3rd behind Cliffhanger. In his last start, it was travelling in 6th spot, then stayed on in 6th and finished on 6th of 14 runners. The winner here was Estrella Star, who won that race by the closest margin of a nose. Number 6 is Trebian. Trebian, after finishing on 7th in his first start in race number 25 behind Agnostic in his last start, Trebian was travelling in 2nd spot, then came up with a run and took charge and won that race by almost a length and a half, beating Kogial. Couple of runners we are looking at. Number 7, Think Big. Think Big has had 3 starts in the monsoon season. Its best start was in race number 32 where it finished on 3rd behind Dundee Satyagraha. In his last start, Think Big was travelling in 3rd spot, weakened and eventually finished on 12th of 12 runners. We also had number 10, which is Around the World. Around the World had one start in the monsoon season where it was travelling in 11th spot, made some late gains and finished on 7th of 12 runners. The winner here was Chameleon's Image. Number 8 is Little Finger. Little Finger has had 4 starts so far. First, it finished on 2nd behind Around the World. Then it finished on 8th behind Treasure Hunt. Then it finished on 4th behind Treasure Hunt. In its last start, Littlefinger was travelling in front and drifted out a little bit, but then held on, won that race, beating East Side by neck. Next up, we got number 9, Appreciate. Couple of starts in the monsoon season. First, it finished on 3rd behind Robinson Crusoe. In its next start in race number 48, it was travelling in first spot as they entered the home straight, weakened very rapidly and eventually finished on 6th of 6 runners. The winner here was Whistleblower, who won that race by almost 5 lengths. Lastly, we got number 11, Spanish City. Couple of runs in this season. First, it finished on 9th behind Sea Lion in a field of 11. In his last start, Spanish City was a little slow to begin, then was made up the ground and was traveling in 5th spot as they entered the home straight. Then made some lead gains and down the center and eventually finished on 3rd behind the winner, which was Adonica. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you at the races on all our YouTube coverage.